Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to PBs and Positivity, episode,
Five?
I want to say six,
Yeah,
five.
five or
We
six.
haven't been, we haven't been that great at getting them out on a Sunday, have we?
Mm, it doesn't have to be a Sunday. We've been still consistent every couple of weeks. So.
We have. And we had a bit of a chaotic weekend this weekend, didn't
Yes,
we?
we did have a chaotic weekend. I do hope that my sound is okay because my microphone is at home and I'm at the parents' house cat sitting this week, so that's why my location has changed. But my laptop and camera and microphone is over there. Well,
Yeah.
laptop
So,
microphone. So
so Kelsey, if she's not looking, she's looking at me.
I'm looking at you.
She's not just doing work and is bored.
There is nothing over there. Yeah.
So yeah, we thought today we'd maybe talk about how to deal with negative people and negative situations, really, because I know that's something that has been coming up with a lot of people that they maybe find it difficult when they're, well, one, sometimes recognizing until it's too late that they're around someone quite negative, and then how they get themselves out of that situation. So we thought that might be a good topic for today.
Yeah. Definitely had my negative situation this weekend.
I feel like that's where we should start, actually, Kels. Should we start with how your life has been, or our lives, because I was very much entwined. But how that's been for you this weekend? What's been going on?
Yeah. So I think it could have been quite negative for some people, but I did
Mm.
get through. I have been at my mum's and my dad's there on holiday in the Maldives. How lovely.
And the
And
photos are stunning.
it looked so nice. And I've been at the house and I came home. I think this was on Friday night and the boiler was leaking. And when I say leaking, I mean it was raining through the ceiling. The boiler's upstairs, so the downstairs was beginning to flood. So I had to pay for an emergency call out. I had a gas engineer come out who then found a gas leak, which was unrelated to the boiler issue. So that added to the mess. So I couldn't get the boiler fixed until the gas leak was fixed. So it was a plethora of events. And then the boiler was supposed to be fixed on Saturday. It got pushed to Sunday. We rushed back from our event on Sunday to find that he wasn't coming. It was just all very back and two and could be seen to be stressful, but we've managed to get the boiler fixed now. And
I
we
mean,
had an
for a lot of
electric.
people.
Yeah, it would have been a bit like worrying for a lot of people, but I just thought,
Mm,
oh, I'm glad that it could have been worse. I actually spotted it before it flooded the whole
mm.
downstairs. We had an electric cutout, same way as me on my own here. Ace was in Wales on Saturday. Electric cutout, but the only thing that stopped working was like the back half of the house. So thankfully, I still had light, but fridge went off. I was just completely panicked that I was going to lose all the food.
Mm. I mean, the amount of times I heard about your fillet steak.
But
But you had it on Monday, didn't you, in the
it
end? And
got
it was
saved. I'm
lovely.
really bad, like not really bad, but like a lot of my life, I'll make food, I'll leave it in the fridge for quite a few days, and I've never had any issues. But yeah, I'll eat rice and steak and potatoes that I cooked like a week ago, but oh, fine.
Oh, then on top of that, you're also very badly burned the roof of your mouth, just causing a few issues. So it has been quite a chaotic weekend for you, to be honest. And a lot of people, because I came around, didn't I? And even the amount of phone calls you had to make, getting cut off from automated services, getting passed from pillar to post, lots of people would have been really quite stressed about
We
that.
just
But
laughed about it.
we laughed through it. We laughed through it. And then yeah, so your car ended up at my house. We ended up in Derby. I then ended up at your mum's. And then I ended up coming back to get you so you weren't stranded. then we went for a lovely dog walk, and it was just
Yeah.
all's well that ends well.
And so I could have a shower.
Oh yeah, so you could have a shower because you had no hot water. What a
But
weekend!
all fine. It's all been a brilliant, like, extra whirlwind.
And now we're saved. We're back to normal. So that is good. So actually, that's probably a good chance to lead on to if you had been surrounded that weekend by really negative people who were very doom and gloom, your experience probably would have been a lot different, really.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
like
So,
my own kind of experience obviously was I need to get this sorted, but because I am naturally quite calm, I didn't really
yeah,
worry too much about it. I just thought, oh well, I've got no heating or hot water, but I've got a gas heater. So I mean, like, you plug it in and it was fine.
it
It
was
was
really warm.
all fine. It was really warm to the point where I had to turn it off because it was too warm. So
Yeah,
it really didn't affect me too much. I did have
yeah,
you and have like Ace, and I know my mum and dad are away, but like I didn't want to trouble them. But everybody
yeah,
who I do have that I would go to are quite calming and helpful. Whereas Ace normally is super like panic mode and will be quite quick in his reactions. But when a crisis hits, he seems to be quite calm for some reason.
yeah. He just probably wished he was closer at that point, but at least it all got sorted in the end, and you had those people to even just to reach out to when you were
You mean
feeling
you?
like
Just you.
like, it was quite. I did nothing. I came round. I offered to come and help you move the fridge, which we didn't do, and then I lay on the floor screaming because I had horrific cramp. So I'm not sure that was that helpful. But yeah, anyway, moving on. So I thought it might be good to look at what I like to call energy vampires and kind of recognizing when you're around those people because I think what I've found for me, for someone who is naturally, I'm quite a people pleaser, I'm quite a sociable person. And because of the energy that I have, you will know this, I often get people who want to take a lot from me, but don't really want to give or don't have the capacity to give that back. Um, so when I find myself in those situations, I hit a point where I think this is too much. I understand that everybody has difficult times and things happen and people can be upset about things. But when you find yourself around people or people are gravitating towards you who very much have that victim mentality, refuse to see any good in anything, and want to stay in that place. I think sometimes you really then do have to think about one, is this benefiting my life? Is this giving anything to me or is it draining my energy? And I think the first point is recognizing how you feel when you leave somebody. So you can be there chatting with someone. When you leave that person, how do you feel? Are you feeling crap about yourself? Are you feeling drained of all your energy? Do you just want to lie down in a dark room? And are you feeling quite negative? Because
Yeah.
if that's the case consistently, then I really think you do have to look at how you manage that and how you pull yourself away from that.
Yeah, I think the awareness of it at first is the most important thing, and actually noticing, I might not feel great after I spent time with this person. Obviously, once or twice, it's not probably just going to be an issue, but if this is like a constant thing, and some friends or whoever it might be do have that draining effect, so it's the kind of like constant complainers and victim mentality type mindset. The drama magnet, there's always something that's going on, and it's always that they come to you with a problem. And friends are all going to share
100%.
problems. Like that's what friends should be able to do together. But if you've got
Yeah,
that friend or that person that every single time you see them, all they've got to bring to you is drama, problems, victim mentality issues, the same sort of cycles that you keep seeing from this person, that's a red flag, I think, to be like, okay,
Yeah.
I've noticed this now.
Hmm.
Once you've picked up on it, that will then make you able to kind of make a decision on what you're going to do. Because it can be hard if you've got a friend and you're close with them and you do start to see these issues that you're feeling
Yeah.
drained or, guilty after you've been with them or stressed. And it can be difficult, can't it, to move away?
I think it's also, when you tell somebody, so I have been in situations where I have been around quite negative people. You'll remember me having this conversation with somebody, and it got to the point where when they were ringing me, I used to think, oh, I don't know if I want to answer this because it's going to be the same conversation and it's going to be really negative. And I ended up just outright saying to that person, I can't talk to you anymore. I just can't talk to you because your negativity is rubbing off on me. And I don't want to be around that all the time. I'm a positive person, but this is too much. And that person very much stopped and went, okay, yeah, I'm really sorry. I will try harder with that. So I think it's if you tell somebody that actually how you are coming to me all of the time with this and there's no positivity coming with it
Yeah.
and you are just coming to me with the same problem over and over and over again and not actually taking any steps to change what is happening, if they recognize that and then do something about it, great. Like I have no issue with that at all. But it's when someone then can't accept that what they're bringing is negativity, and it's, well, I feel like this because of this, but that is consistent. Then you really have to take those steps to move from maybe being a really close friend to being an acquaintance or just changing the dynamics of that relationship. If you're not confident enough to say, look, I can't do that unless this changes, I can't do this. So I think it depends on how confident you are as a person to put those boundaries in place as well.
It is a bit different to, oh, I'm just having a bad day when it's
Yeah,
repetitive and it keeps on going around with the same circle. Because what
yeah,
can be quite frustrating is if you help your friend and you give them loads of advice and then all you can see is that they don't listen to anything you said. You feel like you're wasting your time because you spent all this time trying to console them and give them all this advice, maybe, and they just don't take any of it. That can be quite frustrating.
yeah. And I think, like you said, it depends on the friendship as well, doesn't it? Like with my close friends, I would listen to my close friends about anything, but it's actually spotting those fake people as well. I think that sometimes happens with people because they come to you for maybe advice or maybe because they know you'll listen. But actually, when you're winning or something good is happening to you, is that person happy for you? Or is that person going to try and pick holes in you or put you down? And I think it's weighing that up. Actually, if somebody can't celebrate your achievements with you or celebrate the changes that you've made, then actually that person isn't a true friend. So why do you then want to invest your time in that when that is not gonna benefit you? And I think people end up then feeling guilty. Um, I've invested a lot of time in this, or they've invested a lot of time in this friendship, relationship, whatever that may be, but actually, your peace is way more important and your mental health is way more important. And if you're around somebody consistently who is putting you down or, is making sly comments all the time or is just draining your energy vampire, then, you need to take those steps to look after yourself. And I want to use my fruit analogy.
I was going to ask you to actually bring this up because I was going to say next. I think we should link this to how, like, being around that person would actually
Yeah,
affect you. Like, why does it matter?
yeah,
But energy spreads, doesn't it? This emotion of
it does.
negativity is literally contagious, and that's going to affect your
Yeah.
energy, mood, mindset. So let's
Yeah.
hear the fruit analogy.
Okay. So Start off by saying there has been research done that proves you become like the five people you spend your most time with. So if you are spending your time with negative, unkind, rude people, you are going to take on those traits. And my fruit analogy that I was talking about yesterday, if you imagine a bowl of fruit, you've got your fruit in it for a couple of days, it's fine, not a problem. But then one piece of fruit starts to go moldy and it is left. You will notice quite quickly that the other fruit that is very close by it will then start to go moldy. So that's what happens in relationships and friendships. That energy, people you are around, that rubs off on you. So it may be okay for a short period of time, but just like the moldy banana, if you're around somebody negative all the time, you are going to, carry those traits in some way. I've said to you before, I might feel in a little bit of a slump because, I don't know, hormones or whatever it is that's going on. And I will say to you the next day, once I've seen you, see, all I needed was a little bit of Kelsey time because those energies, we bounce off each other and we leave feeling so much better. Whereas if I came and I was like, oh, can you believe this has happened? And you're like, oh no, that person, this person, all that gossip, all that negativity, all that drama, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it.
But recognizing when someone is actually draining you versus if they're just having a bad day. So there
Yeah.
is obviously a difference. And if it's a consistent, repetitive thing that this person keeps on coming back with problems and they're always in a negative mindset, then that's more of the issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the issues are how close is that person to you? Like are they a true friend? So if they're a true friend, then great. Give them your time, support them. But if they're somebody who is just wanting to use your energy, use your time and actually be really negative,
Mm.
it's for me, it just doesn't align with who I am. It's just not a risk that I'm ever willing to take.
Yeah, it's hard. Let's have a chat about some strategies, like how people could handle this if it comes up and if it's someone who you are good friends with, like it's hard, isn't it? Like you want to try and understand them, but not actually
Yeah.
absorb that negativity. So
Yeah.
being able to talk to them and potentially help them, but not then go away feeling like you've been drained and it's all that
Yeah.
the energy out of you. So respond to them and do
Yeah.
kind of acknowledge what they're saying, but not reacting. And sometimes as well, people might come to you and they just want you to listen and they don't
Yeah.
actually want you to start trying to solve all of their problems. A lot of the
100%.
time, having that rant kind of helped them anyway.
100%. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That's all about the dynamics of the relationship, isn't it? Somebody that you are close with, you will know that they just need to let off some steam. And again, that's what friendships are about. You need to have those people that you can go to. But what I'm talking about is those people who aren't true, aren't true friends and actually are using your energy to make themselves not necessarily feel better, but to try and stay in that victim mentality. Some people want you to agree with them. Like, yes, that's really terrible, and just give, 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 give. And then when you say something, if you've got a problem, they're not there for you.
Yeah,
And I think, and I'm not actually talking about any. I just want to make it clear, I'm not actually talking about anybody. There is nobody in my life right now like that because I am very, very careful about who I let in. But I have had those experiences in the past with friends, with family members. That's a whole other like tricky situation. But I think those strategies again depends on who you are as a person. If you are confident enough, then you can have that conversation. For me, I think open communication is very important. So being able to say to somebody, actually at the minute, I'm finding you to be really negative and this is feeling a little bit too much for me. So could you possibly go and speak to somebody else about that? I even when I've had a lot going on, even close people to me, if I've hit a limit, I am able to say to somebody, actually, do you know what? I need to look after myself right now, so I can't solve that problem for you. I will help you when I can, but right now I don't have the capacity to do that. Unless it was something serious. I think if it's not somebody that you can have that conversation with, that you're not confident enough, you need to take steps to maybe distance yourself. So sorry, I live opposite a police station if you can hear the sirens. But saying, I'm actually a little bit busy right now. So if someone wanted to meet up with you and you're
We can't hear
just
it.
gonna let oh, can you not? It's so loud. Um, so actually, first step, giving yourself some time, some space to actually think about what the relationship is bringing you. Because sometimes you might find that if you distance yourself for a couple of weeks and you start to feel better, that when that person's
Mm,
not in your life, then you know that is something that you are
yeah,
going to have to address. And actually, if you pull that energy back and you're not asking to see them or asking to meet up, and you might find that they don't because you're not giving that energy, they're not kind of coming to you. But if they still do and you're not in a place to do that, it's actually, I'm sorry, I can't, I'm busy. Just pulling yourself back a little bit, giving yourself some time to figure out how you want to progress with it. Of, like I said, being honest. Sometimes you actually just have to be honest, and this is not where I want to put my energy right now. This is the effect that it's having on me, and putting boundaries in, so you can set your boundaries with someone that actually I can't deal with this right now. And if they continue to push your boundaries, they're not really respecting what you need as a person. So again, that's just going to add more negativity. And at that point, it's saying, I've explained my boundaries to you. You're not listening to what they are. So until you can, I can't have this relationship, this friendship. I think it's just about weighing up what you can do and actually know that it's okay to say no to somebody, that you can't do something without actually having to give an explanation. Sometimes if someone wants you to do something and you don't have the capacity to do it, you can just say no.
yeah, yeah. Or at least try and redirect the conversation from being negative
Yeah.
into something that's neutral or more positive so that it just
Yeah.
doesn't get worse and spiral.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah. It's replacing that negativity with the positivity, because if you distance yourself from a negative person and you fill your time with people who are similar and are positive, like I said before, about you become like the five people you spend your most time with, you are then going to take that on. You're going to have that positive energy. You're going to feel better, definitely. But I know it's tricky. I know there are certain situations that you can't get out of, whether that's family ties, and it's actually about in the trying to plan, so trying to strategize what you're going to do if you have to be in that situation. Because I know I've had that experience in the past where you're going to be in that situation where it is going to be really negative and somebody is just going to be at you all the time. And it's one, preparing yourself mentally and emotionally for that. And if there are other people, say, in your family dynamics where you can go to and say, look, I've had it, I'm done with this relationship, and you might not want to accept that, or you might find that really difficult, but I have to do this for myself. And sometimes it can take years to get out of that situation, but sometimes you have to do what's right for you.
yeah.
I
It
know
does
it's
hard.
challenging though. It is hard.
And it depends on individual circumstances, doesn't it? It's not
100%.
always possible to say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to listen to
No,
you right now. It might be something
no,
that
no,
you
not at all.
can't avoid.
Mm,
So
no.
just being able to at least say no without feeling guilty, at least when it's
Mm.
possible, and then set
Yeah,
those boundaries at least as much as possible.
yeah. And I think if you are going to have to be in a situation where you have to say, I'm going to talk about family again here because I think it is much more difficult to distance yourself from a family member. But I think if you know that you are going to be in a situation where you have to be around a person who um doesn't have your best intentions at heart or is going to be quite critical or quite negative, is having a plan for after. So you know you're going to leave. You know you're going to have to be in that situation. There's nothing you can do about it. When you leave, you know you're going to feel a particular way. So what are you going to put in place for after? Like what self-care can you have, or who can you surround yourself with post event where you can actually then fill your own cup back up, or other people can help you fill your cup back up. So what positive things can you put in place after? Because
Yeah.
you know you're going
But
to have to recharge from that.
you can't possibly put that in place unless you've already recognised that there could be a potential
Yeah.
draining interaction. So it's kind of like the first step of the process is noticing even like when this is happening because it can go unnoticed where you just feel down
100%.
and you feel like you've been drained, but you've got no idea why. So it's
Mm.
the first step really is understanding like, is there anything going on? Is there anybody who I'm spending time with who is causing me to feel like this? And it's so indirect, you might not have even realized it.
Yeah. Trust your gut, your physiology. That's not the right word, is it? But it
Yeah.
changes when you're around somebody, depending who you're around, your body can respond in a very particular way to different people. And actually knowing that feeling and trusting your gut when you know when sometimes you can tell when something's off, and if you can't, like you say, it can take a while to actually recognize, but it's actually thinking, paying attention really to how you feel when you leave somebody. When you leave that person or you have an interaction with that person, how are you feeling? How are you feeling before? Usually if you've spent a lot of time with someone and you're kind of before you meet them, again, that is a sign that actually there's something not quite right within that relationship. Or do you have to hold back what you say? Are you constantly thinking, oh, can I say that? Or should I say that? Again, if you're having to, say for me, my friends, I can say anything to. You could say anything to me, I could say anything to you, without any sort of repercussions. But how do you feel when you know you're going to have to say something that somebody might not like or somebody might not agree with? So very much being aware of how your body feels, how you're feeling before, how you're feeling during, how are you feeling after.
It is about self-care as well, isn't it? Because if
Yeah,
you don't recognize this and you've got to put the work in yourself to understand what the triggers are and to
yeah,
understand that you feel comfortable before even going off and helping anybody, because it's like you used this analogy earlier, you can't possibly go off and give advice and help someone because it can be draining even without realizing it, unless your cup is full. Like you can't pour from an empty cup, it's impossible. So
yeah,
if someone is coming to you with problems and you've already got your own problems, usually it might be fine. You can help them, and normally they come to you and there's no problem. You might not even feel drained, but if you've
yeah.
then got problems at that particular time as well, and then there's like, on top of that issue, there's
Mm.
more issues that's somebody else's issue, then that can become more of a problem. It builds up, doesn't it? And then it's an overspill.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you can't save the world, if you like, especially if you've said to me before, we have very open conversations about different things. You can't help everybody, and everybody's problems aren't for you to
Mm.
deal with. And sometimes you have to accept that sometimes somebody maybe doesn't want to change their thought process, or doesn't want to change being stuck in that victim mentality, because that's where they're comfortable. And if that's what they want to do, I'm not saying if somebody wants to do that, you can't have them in your life, but it's just recognizing when something is too draining or when something is too much, and actually not having to overgive all of the time. It's okay to look after yourself, and just the most important thing is having people around you who are not moldy fruit.
Mm.
My
That is
favorite analogy.
the most important thing. Don't be a piece of moldy fruit.
Don't be moldy fruit, okay?
I mean, yeah, just to bring everything like to our conclusion. Like, we're not being negative here. We're not saying don't help anybody, don't be friends with people if they drain you.
Yeah.
It's just having the awareness in place is then going to help you to set the boundaries. It doesn't have to be anything like I'll never see you again, anything serious,
Yeah.
but it's just having those mental boundaries, at least in your own mind, of what could
Mm,
be going on, what the triggers could be, and at least putting in that time after for self-care if
yeah.
it is something you know is going to be draining.
Yeah. And I think it's knowing the difference between somebody who you have a friendship with and somebody who it's a two-way thing. You can be there for each other when that person needs it, and somebody who is taking advantage of your nature as a person, and just protecting yourself from that negative energy all of the time. You don't want to be around that all the time, or else ultimately it will end up having an impact on you. So it can be a balancing act, it can be really difficult. And we're not just talking about people who have a bad day. Everybody has a bad day, everybody has stuff going on in their life, but you just have to figure out what is right for you and what you can tolerate. And if somebody is not giving back to you, just being mindful about how much you give to others that aren't prepared to, kind of give anything back, or to change anything.
I feel like today has been a very serious podcast.
However, on our next podcast, we have our first guest.
Okay, I do know, not
You
pretending to
do
be
know.
surprised.
No, but that won't be as serious. But PBs and positivity, and sometimes to be positive, you have to talk about the things that are challenging. And I think that's important for people to recognize things in their life where that will help them be more positive in the long run.
Yeah, because you can't really just be happy all the time. It's not a human thing, and sometimes you can't just go around a problem and avoid it. You've got to go
Yeah.
through it and you've got to deal with it.
Yeah. So our guest on the next podcast is our good friend Mark, who we have tortured all week with Kelsey's mix matched plates. So yeah, it's gonna be really fun to have him on the podcast as well.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Lovely, lovely,
Is
positive
there anything
person.
else that you wanted to talk about before we go?
No, nothing from me. What about you?
No, I've asked you, but I've not thought about it myself. No, I think we've really covered everything that we want to talk about, basically, like handling negative people, situations, setting boundaries. Um, Pretty covered, I think.
Before we go, then, just to end on a positive, tell me a positive thing that's happened with your day or your
Went
week
for a
so
walk in
far.
the sunshine. Sunshine! It wasn't dark. I have been out in the dark most days, to be honest, recently, because
Mm,
after finishing work, it's dark. But
yeah,
because we got back from the gym and it was still only like 8 o'clock, I was like, oh yeah, plenty of time still to go
yeah,
out for a walk.
yeah. And a morning of PBs.
And a
We
morning
did
with TV
90 kg RDL. I was happy with that.
on
So
100
yeah,
kg.
yeah, road to 100.
Next
And
time.
hopefully next podcast I'll have an update on my strongman session, which is this coming Sunday.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So yeah,
Fun
fabulous.
time.
Brilliant. Okay, what do we say?
We
That's a
normally
wrap.
do over and out, but I'm missing my thing, so over and
Chelsea
out.
says, Chelsea says over and out, and I say that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.